Hello, Laziali all over the world. Welcome to another great episode of Lazio Lounge. Great because I am here. Unfortunately, not so great because our friend Alistair McKenzie is here with us. Comeback victory, Alistair. Another, I would say, probably the best performance since Serie A restarted from Lazio. Going down immediately was tough, but after the first 5 minutes, it was only Lazio.
Yeah, well, great to see you too, first of all. Always appreciate the introductions. Yeah, absolutely. It was kind of strange, obviously, that we got almost exactly the same chain of events that we got on Saturday all over again, going 1-0 behind, losing at half-time, coming back and winning the game. But yeah, in terms of looking at it as an overall performance, I think definitely it was the game that Lazio had the most control of. It was the game that Lazio took the fewest risks in, where they looked the securest defensively and created the most chances offensively. So yeah, I think that we should be pretty happy, I think, all in all, about how it went. But yeah, obviously still I think we would have liked for it to have been in a more convincing manner and not having to deal with the heart attack of having to do a comeback every week.
Yeah, I agree. We have to say also that Torino was probably, is the worst team Lazio played since so far, since Serie A restarted. Alistair, I was thinking that one of the reasons why Lazio sat so poorly is because without the fans, the lack of concentration at the beginning of the match. I mean, Torino's penalty, it's a sequence of mistakes. There's a free kick Parolo allows. Parolo put the ball back in the box, no sense. And then there's the handball of Ciro Immobile. I think it's all in all, it's a lack of concentration of the team at the starting of the match.
Yeah, we got a few questions tonight, and one of the first ones was from Andrew asking about why we've started so slow in all these games, and I did respond at the time saying, the Atalanta game, I don't think we did, because there's 2 goals within 12 minutes, so you can't really criticise them for that. The problem was that the strategy in that game appeared to be pretty much only play at the start of the game and then don't really bother for the rest of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, possibly, yeah, it's quite interesting, really, trying to keep track of any kind of themes that appear from these games because of the 5 substitutes, or whether it's the lack of fans or whatever it is. I think it's still probably too small a kind of number of fixtures to look at in order to be able to make any great analysis of exactly why things are happening. But it was worryingly similar. I think the Lazio didn't start as poorly in this game as they did against Fiorentina. In the Fiorentina game, I think Lazio were actually up against it and kind of pegged back for a lot of that first kind of 20-25 minutes, whereas in this match, it was really just Immobile's handball giving away the penalty so early on. But then I think they actually responded to that pretty quickly, and from quite early on in this game, were the team dominating possession, creating all the chances. It's frustrating when that happens and they're not really putting them away, but I think that the start of this game wasn't as slow as perhaps we might think. It was just that they went behind early.
Alistair, how much did you pay Sean McIntosh for this question?
Which question is this?
The one he asked after, I think it was just 10 minutes from the match started. And he said, looks like Bastos will be playing striker next match.
Hey, look, I'm not the only one on Team Bastos. This is an important movement.
Well, after what you missed last Saturday, I think it was over.
Yeah, we've been through that. Okay, let's not go back over old wounds. Don't need to be reopened. Yeah, I mean, yes. So this is probably the biggest kind of theme of the first half that's worth talking about is the bookings that we picked up. I mean, it's something I kind of talked about a little bit on Twitter over the last couple of games, is the fact that Lazio's list of players 1 game away from suspension is being quite large and is quite scary if you think of the importance of the names on it. I mean, beyond Caicedo and Immobile, who are booked tonight, who are going to be suspended against Milan, we've still got Stefan Radu, Manuel Lazzari and Danilo Cataldi as well on that list. So, but I think the problem is this was the worst possible timing to have both of those players simultaneously go in the book, because now the options are just so thin. And we've talked about squad depth already, so we don't need to go all the way back over all of that again. But in terms of selection for Milan, what do we do? What do you think are the options?
Well, the other problem is Raul Moro and Adekanye are probably injured, so they won't be able. Well, they were injured today. I don't know if they will recover for Saturday, but I'm not sure Inzaghi would have started them anyway, even if they were fit. So yesterday in the press conference, he talked about Andre Anderson playing in attacking role. So the most logical would be Correa and Andre Anderson, but I could see Luis Alberto moving forward or Milinkovic-Savic moving forward. So there are some options. The fact is we haven't got a real number 9 to play instead of Ciro Immobile. So that's going to be interesting. And we're playing against Milan, who, is not a bad team.
Yeah, well, we do. We got Bastos, but I'll go over that. It is a big problem. I mean, it's something Harry Jenkinson was asking who comes in with the suspensions. Arif Akbar, another one, saying, will Bastos play as a striker in the next game? Richard Haig said to us, maybe Correa and Luis Alberto up front. A few of these kind of comments coming in about this. I think, Correa has to start because he's the only fit, natural striker really in that team. The problem is Correa's not been fit enough to start in the last 2 games. No. So who knows if in 4 days' time he's going to be in a position to suddenly start. I think he'll have to. But then the question becomes, is he going to be fit enough to finish 90 minutes? Because that's something he's not been able to do yet. I doubt it. And then if you are having to leave him out there for 90 minutes, are you then risking his fitness going forward? It's a real problem for Inzaghi. I mean, the thing I'm slightly sceptical about the idea of putting Luis Alberto back up into a kind of trequartista role, because I think as soon as you move him up there or you move Milinkovic-Savic up there, you kind of spoil the balance of this team. And they've really found this balance now with those 2 guys playing in deeper roles. And I think Alberto actually flourishes a lot more further back than he does further forward. And also the other thing I was thinking is that, especially the game tonight, if you look at our reliance on crossing from the wide areas in our attacking moves at the moment, Johnny putting in a lot of good deliveries, Lazzari firing crosses in, they didn't really work tonight, but it's clearly a big part of the way this team wants to attack. If you start with Alberto or Anderson and Correa up front, there's no point in doing that because those guys aren't great headers of the ball. So you're going to have to kind of change the way that this team attacks without any natural strikers or natural kind of target men in there to aim for.
I thought Lazzari didn't have his best match tonight. While I think that probably was one of the best performances from Johnny today. Obviously, having Torino only defending helped him, but I thought in the first half he was quite good in both ways. And I think, and you can see it really, all the players were knackered around 65, 70 minutes of the match. So I was thinking, why doesn't he make more subs? He brought in Lukaku and Correa. I thought Parolo was destroyed, Lazzari was in pieces, Milinkovic-Savic, all Lazio players, and Torino was really tired. But I thought Lazzari didn't play great. Probably the fact that he played all the matches didn't help. So I'm hoping that Marusic will be fit for Saturday. But Johnny was a positive performance for him. But I thought when Lukaku came in, the match changed. We finally saw the Jordan Lukaku we all remember.
Yeah, it was like the good old days, because you had Jordan Lukaku coming on pretty much 60 minutes, I think, and then being the kind of classic impact sub, putting in a dangerous cross that leads to the goal. I mean, that's like, those are the moments that you just always wait for Lukaku to provide, and most of the time just don't appear. But when they do, they're always kind of welcome and spectacular. But I was thinking when, that goal when he nutmegs his marker and gets the cross in from Linkovic. I mean, it does go to show why he's at this team, why he's stuck around for so long, why people do believe he's got this talent, and if he can get fit, he can make an impact. And he was almost written off by everyone, up until now. So he is just one of these guys who could be a kind of unexpected hero of this end to the season, because we're really going to need him. And having the two left wing backs being two of the strongest performers in the team tonight is not something I think we would have ever expected going into this, to come out saying Johnny and Lukaku both were impressive.
No, absolutely. And, it was funny, Alistair, because I don't remember who said to me, he's coming in at the 16th minute, 61, I don't remember. It's too early. He's going to be subbed after 20 minutes. He won't be able to finish. So, but no, I think even defensively he had a great match, right? I thought it was a great performance. So I was really impressed, really impressed by Jordan Lukaku. And again, this is the type of match that you say, okay, now I understand why Jordan Lukaku is here. And he can be, like a signing for this team if he continue like that. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen Saturday, if he's going to play, if he's going to start, etc. I hope so, because I think Lazzari, Johnny need a rest as well, so he can be really important.
Yeah, taking back to the striker positions, we've got a couple more comments on Twitter from people. Sean McNeil said, today's too early prediction, no one asked for him. If Bobby plays against Milan, he notches at least one goal. Problem is, we don't know if Bobby's going to be fit for that game either. Obviously, he's been injured up until now, so it's hard to say if he's... I would find it surprising if he was going to be in a position to actually start that match, but he's confident at least. Alexander Mickelson said, is Immobile and Caicedo having a rest for a week a blessing in disguise? It may be the pause they need to reach top form for the last 8 matches. What do you think about that?
Well, obviously that's a bonus for them. I don't know about you, but I didn't... The performance of Ciro Immobile wasn't great. I think this was pretty much clear. Condition-wise, he wasn't fit like a lot of other players. So you can think that having a game to rest could be useful for him. But on the same side, you have to think that all these matches are pretty much training the players, right? It's like a training for them. And in fact, you can see players like Luis Alberto step up. Against Atalanta, he didn't play well. And then against Fiorentina, he improved. Against Torino, he was much better. So you can see that playing, obviously, it's a sort of training for them. So this will definitely help them. Caicedo wasn't 100% fit. You saw it today. So probably resting for him, it's fine. So yeah, obviously when you're so tired, having a little bit of rest could be useful. But at the same time, playing all this every 3 days is sort of a training.
Yeah, I mean, I would hesitate to call it a blessing in disguise. I think that would be a bit too generous simply because of the timing of it. I don't think, first of all, that you want to lose both players at the same time, considering the fact that we've got so few players in those positions in the first place. And secondly, I wouldn't want it to happen for this game, because looking at our fixture run-in, I think Milan, given the way that they've come back after the break and actually looking quite sharp, that's going to be one of the hardest games that we've got left. And if you compare that to the games we've got between now and Juve, I'd much rather have these problems against Lecce, who can't defend, or against Sassuolo, who can't defend, than I would against Milan, who can defend. So that's going to be an issue. It's going to be... I think the timing of it isn't good. I like the idea of it, but I think that, like you say, the best way of these guys finding their form again is to be playing games. And to be losing both of them at the same time is going to be really difficult because I don't know. Yeah, they've not been playing great. I mean, I said at halftime that they both looked like they had weights in their boots because every touch that Caicedo was making seemed to just rebound off his foot. Immobile missed a couple of chances that you'd usually expect him to at least hit the target with, but he's just lashing at things. Immobile was much better in the second half, but yeah, I think that match sharpness is going to come from playing matches, not from sitting out for a few days.
And let's not forget that Ibrahimovic probably is going to start against us just to make it easier. So it's not going to be an easy match for Lazio. And obviously having the best players available would have helped. So yeah, it's going to be a tricky match. Lazio have to try to win it because, you have to put pressure on to Juventus, who's playing the derby. Honestly, so seeing Torino today, I don't think it's going to be a very tough match for Juventus, but you never know. It's a derby. Anything can happen. And at the same time, let's not forget, because we talked a lot about this, but Cristiano Ronaldo, Dybala, pretty much all the Pjanic, a lot of Juventus players have started all these matches. While Lazio was forced because Leiva is injured, Lulic is injured, and so on, Juventus had alternative. And instead, Sarri keep pushing on the same players. And this could be a problem for the future because playing every 3 days, they could be tired in a couple of weeks or so. So, I'm hoping for at least that they get tired.
Well, I don't know. I do still find it quite hard to believe that Juve aren't going to win Serie A this year, to be honest. I mean, they do just have this way of always finding a way, and Sarri is obviously coming for a lot of criticism this year, but in the league, it's quite hard to argue with him. I mean, I saw this morning in Gazzetta that he's actually got the highest average points total in a debut season of any Juventus manager ever. And, to be getting criticised so much despite, winning so many games is unusual, but it tells you a lot about the expectations and I guess what his failure to meet them in terms of the way that team's playing. But yeah, I just think they've got too much quality. I mean, even in the game against Genoa tonight, you saw it where they're not massively impressive, but then if they've got players who can score goals like that.
I don't want to start a Juventus podcast, but Allegri on Scudetto when he in his first year, and he didn't have a Cristiano Ronaldo, I mean, let's be honest, Juventus is playing rubbish. But they have Cristiano Ronaldo, they have Dybala. Come on, it shouldn't be a competition. Again, the salary of Cristiano Ronaldo is the same of the total salary of Lazio players. Let's not forget about that. Cristiano Ronaldo is the total salary of Lazio players, and we are 4 points behind. What are we talking about? It's.
It is ludicrous. Yeah,
it's again. Romelu Lukaku cost like the 2 summer transfer of Lazio, and he was just one player for Inter, and Inter is how many points behind us? Let's not forget about this. I mean, this is an incredible success, and the most important thing, Alistair, is that 9 matches are missing now. Roma, even if they win tomorrow, they're 70 points behind. This means, and I'm not very good in math, so guys, please check. It should be 3 victories and a draw for Lazio to qualify for the Champions League. Because Roma can do if they win the next 9 match, 27 points. The gap is 17, so it's 10 points ahead. So we need those 10 points. So 3 victory and 1 draw, and it should be done.
I mean, picking up on that, I found it interesting this week to see that the kind of narrative is very much changed. Not necessarily changed, but the narrative is very much from Inzaghi and in interviews been about the Champions League and how our objective is the Champions League. That's like the Scudetto for us. That's what we're aiming for. That would be the amazing achievement. Why do you think that is? Do you think that, I mean, obviously that is the objective, which may just be why they're saying it, but do you think that's a lack of ambition, that they should be talking about the Scudetto, or that that's simply being realistic and trying to remind everyone of this ridiculous gap between the teams up there? I mean, what's your view on it?
I think there are two reasons why he's doing this. Well, three. The first one is the newspaper have put a lot of pressure to Lazio, obviously. And Inzaghi wants to bring it down and say, hey, if we reach a Champions League, that's our goal. So don't put pressure on the team. We don't deserve it. Second, I think after Atalanta-Lazio, Inzaghi understood that the players put too much pressure on themselves. They started so hard because they wanted to win and show Juventus that they are there, etc. So maybe Inzaghi understood that the players were too much focused on winning the Scudetto, and they weren't able to control it. And the third one is simply that was our goal when we started the season. If you go and listen to our podcast in August, we were saying our goal is the 4th place. We are 2nd. So, but yeah, I think this is the three reasons. I don't know if you agree with me.
Yeah, I think so. It's just that I guess on the other hand, these Scudetto bonuses have been introduced, which means that from within the club, there clearly is an expectation, not an expectation of winning the Scudetto, but at least an acknowledgement of the fact that it is a possibility. And if you think about it, yes, we are exceeding expectations, but at the same time, we don't want to be looking back on this season in future years and saying, well, that was the best chance we've ever had at actually winning the Scudetto, and we were talking about the Champions League instead. You don't want this to come across as a lack of ambition, because the team is good enough to at least stay up there and compete. And they've shown that so far. And also there's still a head-to-head with Juventus to come. And given how those games have gone so far this season, that's something that this team should be confident about. So I don't think it's the worst idea to remind everyone of, like you say, the fact that the Champions League would be an enormous achievement in itself. But at the same time, I think that this team needs to at least, even if the external narrative is about that, I think internally I'd like them to be talking about the Scudetto.
Yes, I mean, they are focused to win the next match. But I have to admit that Lazio had a bigger chance before the stop. If the season didn't stop, I thought Lazio really won it. With a stop and playing every 3 days like Juventus and Inter, the chance, I mean, Juventus is the biggest favorite. I would, if I had £5, I would easily bet to Juventus. I think they have the biggest chance. They are 4 points ahead. They have the best team. They have an easy draw, fixture. So, Inter is, I don't want to say dead, but they're showing all the weaknesses. So I think Juventus, obviously, if Juventus start making mistakes and things like that, then Lazio has to be ready. But yeah, it depends a lot on Juventus at this point.
Going back to the questions we got, how about this from Tom? He said, which players do you think have struggled to return from the break? We've already talked about Immobile and Caicedo, but who else do you think has struggled a bit so far?
Immobile, Caicedo?
We already mentioned Immobile and Caicedo. Come on. Be imaginative. I know it's late.
Parolo, probably, I would say.
Well, Parolo was, there's another comment actually say, Madi said, my biggest concern is the lack of depth. How many games can Parolo cover for Labour? I think Parolo had a really good game tonight. I mean, he was given man of the match by Sky. I mean, he scored the winning goal, obviously. Yeah. I don't think he necessarily deserved man of the match, but I think
I thought he was with Alberto.
Had a decent game. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's definitely a case of him covering for a role that's not necessarily his own. It's a role that he's been kind of put into as he gets older to try and find a use for him and find a way he can be more useful to this team on top of just being an alternative to the two Mezzala. So yeah, I mean, I think that long term, you don't want him to be the guy covering for Leva every week, but he's not, remember, because we've got Danilo Cataldi as well. So if Cataldi comes back in, then we've got a relatively good cover in that position. But yeah, I mean, I think that maybe the older players will be the ones who need a bit longer. I mean, Stefan Radu had to sit out a match already, but he's a player who he can't play 2 games a week anyway. I think even Francesco Acerbi, he's been okay, but I think he's played better than he has done over the last few games. I think Thomas Strakosha has looked a bit uncertain at times as well, but I think basically you can go through the whole team and make relatively good arguments for them not being what they were, but that's just what to expect at the moment. You can't really expect these guys to be at the levels they were at before.
Yeah, watching Acerbi today, especially in the last 10 minutes, I thought he was really struggling. But then you saw him running all the pitch and going on the other box, waiting for a cross from Lukaku, who never arrived. So it's strange. I was a little bit curious because I don't know if you watch it. Before the start of the second half, they focus on Vavro, who was putting his boots. So everybody thought, wow, Vavro is coming in. What's going on? So I thought, Acerbi is tired. Maybe Inzaghi decided to give him a rest. So yeah, it was strange. I think Vavro deserved to have another chance. I don't know if maybe next Saturday he's going to replace Radu. I don't know, but yeah, I think in defense we have plenty of options. It's all the other position where we are struggling at the moment. Let's hope we recover. Cataldi recovers so he can start in place of Parolo Saturday.
Well, why don't we finish with this? Cacho says, Milan has been looking very solid defensively. Additionally, with no Chiro, I think it might be a 1-1 draw with goals from Milinkovic, Savic and Rebic. What are your thoughts?
Could be. I mean, this situation is quite tough. Plus, we have to see who will recover, midfield, because there are a lot of players missing. Luis Alberto, Milinkovic, Savic have played all the matches. I think they're going to need a rest eventually. So they're going to be forced to play on Saturday, but maybe they're not going to play very well because they're tired. So I hope Lazio wins anyway, because I saw Milan. It's not unbelievable. I saw them against Roma and it was a terrible match. So, Lazio have everything to win. So, yeah, I'm really curious to see Inzaghi decision. Who's going to play?
Yeah, I think it's a really important game as well because when you look beyond this, the actual fixture list eases off a little bit in terms of the difficulty of opposition. Lecce, Udinese and Sassuolo is, nothing's easy, but those are easier fixtures than we're going to get beyond that. So I think if Lazio can get through this game with a win, it would be massive in terms of the ability to kick on to that Juve game. Because if you can think about beating Milan, keeping the gap where it is, and getting wins in all of those matches, it really would set up that Juve game quite nicely. Don't want to get too ahead of ourselves because it's quite easy to at the moment. There's so many games, but I think that. Someone's going to blink at some point. It's just really about how Inzaghi manages to juggle these attacking options, because it's just such a conundrum, and I have no idea, to be honest, beyond putting Bastos up there, but that's probably why I'm not a coach.
Yeah, luckily for us, you're not Lazio manager. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, it's going to be curious in, 2 weeks' time how the team will respond, if they're going to be all tired or they're going to start doing massive turnovers to keep it up. Because, the first 2 weeks you can manage, but cannot pretend that Luis Alberto and Milinkovic Savic can play a month every 3 days, 12 matches is going to be impossible. So I'm curious to see. And the same thing has to be said about Juventus, because, again, Dybala, Ronaldo, Pjanic played all the matches even the Coppa Italia one. So, they could be more tired than our players in a couple of weeks. So it's going to be really interesting. But I think, Alistair, we can wrap it up here. Again, everybody, thanks for your support. Remember to subscribe to our Patreon page, patreon.com/Lazio Lounge. It's just $2 a month. And rate and review our podcast on iTunes. You can follow us on Spotify, Spreaker, and YouTube. So thank you very much for your support. And we're going to come back after Lazio Milan. Good night, Alistair.
Cheers.